Hi guys, in this verse the Bhagavad Gita talks about two important things in Karma Yoga, which is action and inaction, and what is right action and what is wrong action, and more importantly, how do we discriminate between both in real life. Now for this, before I get into this, I just want to say one small story which would be apt for this particular verse. Now in a kingdom, there was a very wise man who always kept himself away from all the happenings of the kingdom, but very closely observed all the events happening. So there was this ignorant man who was always confused about life, and he saw only problems happening in every corner and walk of life. So he felt that this whole world was full of cheaters and there was nothing that is going to go his way. Now, this ignorant man went towards the wise man and said that my life is full of problems. This kingdom is full of problems. No one is safe in this world. Even the king of this kingdom is not really safe. To which the wise man responded very calmly by asking him a question. So what is the problem that you, your kingdom, and more importantly, your king is facing? And the ignorant responded that my king is actually a very generous human being. He always loves throwing this huge feast to the entire kingdom so that even the deprived people of his kingdom can have something to eat, even if it is only for one meal a day. So on one particular day, the king had organized a huge feast, and all the cooks were happily cooking all the dishes, and there was a sign of joy and enjoyment in the air, and everybody were looking forward to this huge feast. So the place where they were cooking, there was a small forest adjoining that shed, and therefore there was an eagle who was equally as hungry as the people and the residents of the kingdom who had come for the feast. So the eagle was looking around for its prey, and it finally found a small snake. So it took that venomous snake by beak and it flew away into the far distance. Now, as it was flying away, the beak of the eagle had got caught in the tongue and the throat of the snake. Therefore, what happened was the snake was unable to control or breathe, and it spit out its poisonous venom onto the floor. Unfortunately, what happened was that poisonous venom fell straight into the cooking vessels of this large feast organized by the king. So unaware of the act that had taken place, they had served the food to all the people who had come for the feast. And later that day, everybody died. And when they probed deep into it, they realized that the food was poisoned. And many people blamed the king that he was selfish and he had poisoned all the people who had come for this thing. And therefore, the generous king was now guilty in the eyes of the residents of the kingdom. And now the ignorant man asks the wise man that what mistake did the king do for him to face such a thing? In this entire story that I told you, who do you think is the most guilty out of this? So the wise man thought about it for a second and said, whom do you think it is? Back to the ignorant. So the ignorant said that I think all the blame should be put on that eagle because it was the one who took the snake from the ground. To which the wise man responded by saying that how can you say that the eagle is guilty? The eagle was just satisfying its need of hunger. So the eagle is completely sane and aware and was just fighting or taking the snake for its hunger. Now the ignorant thought about it for a second and said, how about we put the blame on the snake? It is its poisonous venom that caused this entire drama and commotion in the first place. So the wise man responded again by saying, the snake was completely defenseless while it was on the mouth of the eagle and it wasn't able to breathe, therefore it spit out. It wasn't aware that it is going to land in the vessels of the dishes. Now the ignorant asked, so if none of these people are guilty, then are you suggesting that the king is guilty? To which the wise man said, I never said that the king was guilty because He was unaware of all these things that were happening in the place where the food was being prepared. So the ignorant was starting to become very restless, and he asked, so whom only do you think is blame to this entire mess that was created? So the wise man said, just wait for some time and the guilty will just manifest itself right before you. So the ignorant was restless but also waiting, listening to this wise man. The following day, there were outside travelers who were traveling towards the kingdom, and they saw that old lady who was sitting below a tree. So they were hungry as they had come from a long day's walk. So they traveled towards that old lady and asked that lady, where do you think we can get some food to eat? So please, can you just direct us? So the old lady responded by saying that there is one small kingdom over here where the king is known for his generous acts of giving a huge feast every afternoon. Maybe you should go and check that out in that direction. So these people thanked the old lady and were walking in direction of the kingdom when the old lady stopped them again and said, you can go in that direction and you will get food. However, beware, because yesterday over 100 people died by going to that feast because the king had poisoned all of them. So this the ignorant man hears, and he rushes and comes and tells the wise man. And the wise man says, put all the blame onto that ignorant lady, because that old ignorant lady was the biggest liar of this entire mess, because she assumed something which never existed in the first place. See, she was sitting below a tree and she was completely inactive. Therefore, she was practicing action and inaction, which the Bhagavad Gita says is wrong. However, all the other people were practicing inaction in action. Now here, when we perform a work in our lives, when we have a sense of inaction while performing any action, it marks the sense of detachment towards the work. However, we do have a lot of people in this world, right, where though they don't perform anything, they feel they are entitled to everything. Those are the people that the Bhagavad Gita calls as guilty. Now this is how the wise man discriminates the difference between an ignorant and that of a wise, and most importantly an inactive person and that of an active person. Now that's a wrap for this particular episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, do give it a thumbs up, and as always, thank you for watching, and until the next episode, it is goodbye.